Don't get too ahead of yourself, Street Fighter Voice.
Yeah, Street Fighter Voice knows that it's going to be replaced next season by Ken, and that's why he's a little bit overeager today, but I forgive him. Bottom right, we have the Casper player, we have the Protoss down one map already, it is.
SOS.
You know, I really miss Street Fighter Voice after that.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you, buddy. I'm really gonna miss you. I hope that at some point you will make a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, I think you probably will.
I hope so. Top left now, we have 4-team MVP with 1-0 lead over his opponent, the Terran player in blue. His ID is...
Noblesse.
Noblesse oblige.
Yeah. There he is. Been around a long time, this guy. If you guys don't remember, back in the day, he was Cute Foyu. That's how long he's been around.
He reminds me a little bit of one of the 3 chipmunks.
I can see that.
In a good way.
I almost feel like we discussed this before. That's how clearly I see it.
I don't think we did. I'm getting old, so maybe we did and I just forgot
I don't know,
about
maybe we're just having a mental lock here. I'm having deja vu or something. But
yeah, it could definitely be the case. But yeah, I can certainly see that. I feel he could be one of the chipmunks.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. He's got that look about him. There's a block with the depot coming down for Noblesse, so this probe that's been sent out here is going to be relatively useless. It's not going to be able to see anything. You know, sending the probe out like this, if your opponent doesn't block, you get a lot of information. If he does block, then he has to sacrifice a lot of resources and delay his orbital slightly, oftentimes, because the barracks gets delayed. So it's kind of a trade-off that you get.
I want to point something else out for the beginners or the guys amongst you who don't watch StarCraft streams that often. I did this a few days ago at the GSL, and I feel we have a different audience here. But a lot of people actually told me that they didn't know that. So if you look at the overlays, guys, and you see the names of the 2 players, the colors, of course, indicate the player's colors. And the P5 for SOS says that he plays Protoss, and he's at the 5 o'clock start position. And for Noblesse, of course, T for Terran, and 11 would indicate the 11 o'clock start position to the top left. Just in case you didn't know, got a lot of people who mentioned that they had no idea, and we're pretty happy that I pointed it out. Yeah. So if you're newer and we're always wondering what exactly that's up, and you know now.
That's very true. It's information in a lot of esports titles, well, RTS specifically, you get to see that.
We forget to point things like this out a lot.
I think it's important.
Every now and then.
By the way, there's a hidden pylon for SOS who's taken 2 gas. This could mean one of 2 things, most likely. Either a hidden Stargate, well, it's going to be the Robo, which is the second thing I was going to mention. There's also a third possibility, which is DTs, but... Well, he actually doesn't hide the Robo, though. It's in his main.
It's not the Inca Memorial build. And it's also not the hidden Stargate, Holy Horses Wolf, not Heart of the Swamp just yet. We don't see the proxy Void Ray all in or proxy.
What is he going to do with this? Is this just simply he wanted to put a pylon down to spot drops early? That's pretty cool if so, because that is the path the medevac often takes.
Would be a very, very early pylon here, though. I feel it gives him just a few options. It gives him, first of all, later on the vision that he can use when medivacs are coming into play, and drop is getting a very dangerous component of the game. But also he has the opportunity to use it as a forward pylon in case he decides to be aggressive, which I don't think he's going to do, especially now since he just started Nexus. It's of course pretty transparent that he won't be too aggressive in the early few minutes.
Yeah, so basically he's just using his early second gas to get the observer out to scout. That pylon can be useful as a multiple of ways later. It's an interesting style. A lot of Protoss players in Wings of Liberty these days are going double gas before Nexus just to have a better sentry count early on and to be able to tech quickly, in this case very quickly, getting the Immortal out super fast right now before 6 minutes.
Exactly, the Immortal on its way. And we have for Noblesse not only an expansion and stim being started, but also a very, very early engineering bay that he can use to get way ahead of the upgrades.
Yeah, this is really important because this is going to allow him to be aggressive early on with his medevacs and his +1.
If he keeps this up, this will give him a significant upgrade lead over SS. And it's kind of funny if you think about it. There was such a time where a lot of Terran players had the big problem that they were always behind in upgrades against Protoss because the Chrono Boots could just get those upgrades out a lot faster. But now we have Noblesse trying to turn things around here, a build that is a little bit more common these days, but which will definitely give him a lot of strength here, especially in the early game.
Yeah. He sees the observer. I feel he knows it's there, but he can't quite do anything about it since he doesn't have a scan.
Don't forget, guys, with the early upgrade, it's also a little bit of a trade-off. What Noblesse is currently doing is he's investing early 100 gas into his tech, and this delays his factory and his starport a little bit. So this is just a trade-off that he's going for. It will help him a lot as soon as the upgrade is done, but right now with the aggression coming from SOS, he needs to buy himself some time to really get this upgrade into play.
This is such a weird push that we're seeing him do. He's going for the Destructible Rocks, which only have 1,000 hit points on this version of the map. He's taking them out really quickly, and I think that Noblesse should be fine. He's going to have stim, and he has 2 bunkers.
Noblesse just now saw it though. He sees it a little bit late here. The rocks are gone, but if he moves up the ramp now with only those few units, this is going to be a little bit of a problem for SS. I completely agree with what you just said. We have even a 3rd bunker now coming up.
Yeah, well, I think... Where did he warp in those Zealots that he just warped in? I couldn't see where he warped him in, but I almost felt like this might be a fake. He puts a Guardian Shield up though, and he's committing a little bit, picking off SCVs here, but he's not really committing heavily to this. If he loses another Sentry, that was a slight micro mistake, but I think he just wants to scare Noblesse at this point and in transition at home.
He's keeping up, yeah, he's going for the factory now and the robotic space, so he definitely does not overly commit to this.
Ah, the Zealots were warped into the main base using the Observer. I didn't see that. He can now actually pick off this depot with the Observer if he's careful.
7 Harvesters killed by SOS here.
Really
Plus 1 is nearly completed.
There he goes now for the Marine and the depot. He was getting a little bit weirded out that he wasn't getting that for free. He's going to supply block Noblesse pretty heavily here, and you need to pull the Marauder back.
And now Noblesse can, of course, not get additional SCVs in there. He can't produce any additional units, but he starts his +1 armor upgrade right away. Has already a lead in upgrades with a +1 attack upgrade.
And as soon as he gets that supply depot finished, he can start medevacs as well.
Well done here with the force fields, trapping those units on the high ground, taking down 2 Marines and a Marauder.
Yeah, I feel the more appropriate solution to this problem is to kill the Observer, not to kill the that pylon. Because if he kills the Observer, there's no more warpins anyways.
We have now a first Colossus being produced, and we could just see that Noblesse started to use the extra supply, called it down, because the big problem for him really was the loss of those depots. He was heavily supply blocked, and he decided that he rather sacrificed a little bit of energy that he could have used for a mule instead, because he just needed the units.
He needed them, and this may be one reason why he didn't scan and kill the Observer, because he used his energy rather for the call down supply, and then he was just going to try to target down the pylon otherwise. We're pretty even in this game right now. SOS has a slight lead in supply, but his worker lead is not as high as it would be at this time normally. He's losing a pylon here. These resources lost to these pylons are actually going to start to add up a little bit for him, just like last game.
3rd base now being built. SOS has retreated. He has the first Colossus out, going into Blink, going into the +1 armor upgrade, but still Noblesse ahead in upgrades. He's down in supply though.
Yeah, he needs to pressure here and make sure the 3rd base of the Pross is not taken. Fighting against that Colossus is not going to be something he wants to do directly, though. And in fact, with his factory, he sees this and he's like, "Well, I don't think I need to compete against that Colossus." He'll probably just go down and check for the 3rd. He's got his own on the way.
Nice positioning here with the Overseer. Sees exactly what's going on. Observer.
Yeah.
That would be weird. Well, he needs to be really careful here. Blink is not done
There's
yet.
even a cannon and a stalker group ready to defend in the main.
He sacrifices units at the bottom, trying to get the drop into a good position. Maybe he can pull through. He needs to do some damage now. He's losing a lot of units.
SOS's control here is a little bit questionable. In fact, he almost lost his Colossus. And now the units in the south actually escaped, and these units should be able to escape as well. Noblesse took a crazily bad situation where he would have lost all of his units and turned it into a situation where he lost almost nothing.
2 Marauders at the bottom are still killing 1 Highland, so I have to say that Noblesse, it looked like he was sacrificing units to get this drop into a good position, and he certainly was, but he didn't lose all of the Marauders. They still did damage at the bottom, and at the same time all these SCVs at the natural were suddenly endangered, and 13 of them just didn't make it.
You know, I want to make an analogy. Creator is to observers what SOS is to pylons, it feels like, in this game. He's lost
It's
so
not
many.
that bad.
It's getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Well, I mean, he still has to deal with Noblesse's pressure here, and it's getting really dangerous because he needs a 3rd Nexus. Noblesse already has his 3rd landed.
Exactly, Noblesse has the 3rd base. Noblesse will soon have the 3rd orbital. He's currently upgrading it. He has a lead in Harvesters. He has a strong army here. This is not going to be easy for the Protoss player, but he has now Storm on his way. And no additional upgrades for Noblesse. He completed his second engineering bay. There we go, +2/+2 on the board. This is exactly what he wants. He will still have a huge lead in upgrades, especially since SOS, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't even have his second forge.
I think you're correct in that assumption, and you are. I just checked. Noblesse he has map control. He used it to gain a faster third. He's now mining from that third. This SCV is sliding on the map. That was really weird. But Storm is on the way. Noblesse already has his preparations underway with that Ghost Academy. And with this, he will be able to deal out some EMPs. He has to make sure he hits those properly. Noblesse continues to miss depots, as I think Legend was trying to highlight there in the main base. He had like 6 making at once.
Here comes the army once again for our Terran player, who has a pretty significant supply lead in army supply. Moving down to the bottom right, still pressuring the Wounding Stars player, who does not have his third base up just yet. Goes into charge, it's nearly done. Link already completed. But now with the Ghost Academy, the first 3 ghosts on the production tab, he will have EMPs. The Observer sees what's going on at the top left. But this doesn't really help Noblesse, because he kind of lost his means of being the initiator of another attack. He needs to stay on his 3 bases a little bit longer. He can't keep up with Noblesse.
Exactly, and he can't afford to lose Marines in the middle of the map like that, just a misrally, causing him to lose those. He has to face Storm, and with Storm on the map, you need those EMPs to hit. You need to hit those snipes, because if Storms hit your army, they ignore upgrades. The upgrade advantage he has does not matter. His Vikings don't matter against this either. He needs to just make sure he fans out his units and dodges the Storms and or hits his EMPs and snipes.
Once again, the main base was clearly visible that Noblesse used several extra supply that he had to call down. His upgrades are nearly completed, and he has a decent amount of ghosts to be on the map, gathering up energy, getting another 3. And with only 7 Vikings, he doesn't overcommit to the Viking production here. The Vikings will certainly help him against the Colossus, but he was not taken by this transition into psionic units unaware.
So weird, he has like his anti-Colossus and his anti-Ghosts or anti-Templar army like all in one place. He's got all of his Ghosts and Vikings chilling out, but they're not with his army, so he needs to make sure to bring those with him. Now he brings them together. That was a little bit scary though. I thought he was going to engage without those very critical units.
And here we go in the choke point. That's not exactly where Noblesse wants to fight. Has to be careful here and backs off. Scans the Observer, knows that his opponent had vision, and make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, there's a second Observer, but it's a little bit too far off to spot the army. He needs to move that around, and he does. This is something that SOS can be happy with, just waiting a little bit, getting those Storms ready. He doesn't have to worry too much.
It's actually pretty interesting to see that we have... Oh, he's going to pull SCVs pretty soon, apparently. He used a lot of SCVs in the control group where he's controlling his Marauders. Yep, there we are. He pulled them already. Here we go.
This is not a good position for SOS because he can't get his Zealots down the ramp. The EMP hits all of those units, including the Archon. Here come the Storms, but they're a bit late.
He needs to take down the second Colossus, and he does. The Storms are good. Great Storm by SOS here. Trying to turn things around, still down in supply. Those Medivacs helping the Terran player immensely, but those Storms do so much damage.
The Storms really turned this fight around. The Vikings landing were just not really able to do a lot of damage. They were not useful because there's only one Colossus.
I didn't really like this position for Noblesse at all, because my problem with this is he was so clumped up and he didn't have any wiggle room. He couldn't retreat to the left or right. He was in this choke point where the Colossi did a lot of damage. Noblesse did not really control his Vikings too well. He moved back with them when he only had a few shots left to take out the second Colossus, ran into those Storms. I don't know.
My problem was that he went into the base, and then instead of moving away back out of the choke point, he moved back down into the place where he got stuck behind a wall next to that assimilator, so he couldn't dodge the Storms anymore.
The SCVs were also stuck at the back. This is not exactly where you want to have them, so that was very, very weird that he would engage into a position like this with the unit composition as it was.
There's suddenly a Zealot in the main. Nobody knows how he got there, but that Zealot somehow going to try to take out the SCVs, even makes him target his own command center for a second. While he's distracted, the Zealots are going to clean up this Bioforce down in the south. Now the question becomes, who can take a fourth? Will there even be a fourth base taken in this game?
The thing is, I feel Noblesse should have taken a fourth instead of attacking into this position or trying to find a position where he could have worked with, but he was a bit eager to end this game early, and now suddenly he's down in Harvesters. He's looking at 42 against 58. The bank for SOS is great. He has a lot to work with here.
Yeah.
Upgrades are, of course, getting an issue again, with +3 now being researched for Noblesse.
But it's hard for him to even afford those 3-3 upgrades with his economy situation compared to SOS, who has the better Harvester count, and it's now taken a fourth, which he can easily defend because his army is also better. I don't know how Noblesse can turn this game around without some sort of really successful drop, for example, or an insanely good engagement with perfect EMPs.
I think he's really waiting for a good position here, because the problem was really that he was ahead, took a bad fight, lost it. If SOS is also doing the same thing and engaging in a battle where he has a bit of a worse position than Noblesse, then the Terran player might be able to turn it around. But of course, the whole deck is now shifted in favor of SOS.
Yeah. Right now, Noblesse continues to keep his SCV count at 42. He doesn't make an additional one. The same is true of SOS right now, but his work count is at 58, and he's not certain he can hold his fourth base just yet, so his decision to not make any more probes makes a lot of sense. But Noblesse, on the other hand, he really just wants to have the best army possible, I feel, off the 3 bases. He's just going to max out maybe one more time, hope to win that fight and win the game, and if he doesn't, he just accepts the fact that he's going to be too far behind and will lose out in economy.
Upgrades are, as Legend just highlighted, going to be an issue in our next fight. We have 4 upgrades in total for both players. A +3 armor upgrade is done for SOS, which will give him a great survivability for his Zealots. So, this is getting tricky. This is getting really, really tricky. Yeah. Especially for the Terran player, who's once again down 30 supply.
I'm surprised we don't have a second forge for SOS, but he will catch up to upgrades fairly soon. He's got +3 already for armor, and he's about to have +2 for weapons, which will put him even for a second. He's not really chrono boosting that with his energy either. He's really much more concerned. He's much more focused right now on his army and his position on the map, because he knows that's the one way he could really lose this game is by taking a bad engagement against Noblesse, who's even with him in army supply, because he hasn't been making any more SCVs.
Yeah.
There's a 20 supply difference in workers right now.
SOS has to play this kind of safe now if he wants to get into the next round. He needs a 1-1. Here come those SCVs being pulled again. He wants to have them at the front where he can tank a storm or at least a zealot damage.
He's not even trying to get any snipes here. Now he sends the ghost forward, and he's barely not going to hit him. Gets one Templar.
One Templar at least. And keep in mind that in this situation, as soon as both of them max out, the army supply will be the same. Actually, right now, it's the same already. So if Noblesse can get more units into the picture, then he will have the better army.
Yeah, look at the production tab. 6 Marines and 2 Mirages, and he can do like 3 more waves of that. SOS cannot afford it.
SOS has so many minerals and gas that he can use to warp in immediately as soon as the fight started.
Noblesse has to crush this army. He can't just barely win it. Ghosts go down with a cloak. EMP hits the Vikings.
And the Vikings have to be very careful of those Archons too. They can't just fly above them.
Yeah. And he's trying to get in here and do the damage. A good position for Noblesse on the ground, but he can't go up this ramp very easily.
The Vikings are gone. Great positioning here by SOS, using all those Colossi at the back, and now suddenly the Viking count is down to 1, and this one Viking won't be a hero for Colossi. This is just way too much area effect damage, but suddenly the units up the front are gone.
He's targeting down the Colossi. That Observer comes out with speed, but it's a little bit behind, and now the Mirages are close to the distance. Could Noblesse have actually made this work? It starts to look more likely, but the bank for SOS is going to allow him to work with these Zealots. The thing is, Zealots is not what he wants down this choke point.
But at the same time, the problem for Noblesse is that without Vikings, he can't get close enough to those Colossi, and the Storms, of course, they're too much.
GG. That one Storm there at the end was the nail in the coffin, and those Colossi, like you said, he couldn't deal with them once those Vikings went down.
What a fight. This was really, really so interesting. At first, so smart by SOS. He looks at the situation, he realizes there's a lot of anti-air, moves all the Colossi back, and is like, okay, well, if I can take them out early, if I can bait them into the rest of my army, I can use the Colossi to clean up this Bioforce. But then, suddenly all his Zealots are gone. He doesn't have anything to shield the Colossi anymore. Walks up on top of the ramp, tries to do something, and then the Ghost with no detection, able to take down a few units. But with the second wave, and especially the choke point situation, the surplus in bio forces did nothing for Noblesse. Those Colossi were simply too strong.
They were simply too strong, and beyond that, the bank really came into play with those Zealots. And Noblesse knew that was just one moment. He nearly had it. In fact, I wasn't even certain, but that Storm really turned the battle around. The Storm on the Vikings initially was what lost Noblesse that fight, because if he had dodged that Storm, he would have been able to do more damage to the Colossi and probably close the gap there.
Yeah. So right now we are looking at a third game. Cloud Kingdom is going to be the map between SOS and Noblesse. Let's see who's going to take it and who's going to advance to the third round to either meet Flying or Stefano. This is the GSL Code A, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the second round. Jumping into the game on Cloud Kingdom between SOS and Noblesse.